Ooh. Hi, dear one. This is another moment. We are in a new year and a new agenda at this time. This program is WOCON, that is World Consent. Our mission is to help to protect and prevent the world against present and future pandemic crisis. COVID-19. Oh, is it a good friend to you or a bad one? To me, it's a bad one because it has caused a lot of harm to human resource. And this is the reason why we are having this program. I'm pleased to have this great woman. She's a knowledgeable person, a motivational person. In fact, I don't know how to describe it. Whoa, Richmond Hadju, I'm pleased to tell you that we have with us Dr. Nadia. She's going to take us to the topic of discussion, solving financial crisis during COVID era. Doctor, I salute you.
Thank you. That is such a lovely welcome. Thank you so much.
Oh,
I think for a lot of us, the shock of COVID-19,
mm,
which is just it's just unthinkable. None of us could have
yeah.
prepared really entirely for it. And now I know you're in the UK, I'm in Ireland, and we're in our third lockdown, and numbers are higher than ever. And we're waiting for the vaccine. So it's really like the third act of a very bad film that no one wants to watch. It's like there's so much drama, and it's just like not fun. So
Yeah.
but I think, like yourself, it's like, is it a good friend, is it a bad friend? I think the answer to the question is, it's kind of what you make it. In other words, I think on one hand it's a very difficult time, and I think it's a mistake to act like it isn't difficult, because I think we need to be honest that a lot of us are experiencing loss, whether that loss is actual physical loss, like we've lost people, but we've lost opportunities. And a lot of us have a feeling like we lost time, right? Like we didn't get the time to do the things we wanted. It's really sad when the highlight of your week is like going to Tesco, or it's just like you're not going anywhere, you're not seeing people. So I think what's really important is we do things like what you and I are doing right now, is we have conversations and we talk about what's possible instead of maybe getting depressed.
Yeah, which is what we are not going to pave way for it, because we are human beings. We are in a modern world. We have to make good use of what we have.
Yes.
We need not to allow life to detect life for us, but we have to detect life for life.
I love that.
That's my motivation. Yeah. So, doctor, we are almost starting now. Let's give, I think, 5 minutes for people to join us.
Sure. We have some music going.
Wow, Dr. Nadia,
Yes,
I saw you dancing
I
to
know.
the tune. Yeah, what's the meaning of it?
Well, you know, my father was from Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean. So calypso and rhythm and dancing was very much part of my growing up with
Oh,
my father. Yeah.
I think we have a challenge one day on how to dance. And we see.
I don't know if you saw, but I started a January challenge from my Free My Mojo
Oh,
organization, which is challenging people to dance for 5 minutes a day,
oh.
anywhere, anytime. So maybe you can join me and challenge people. So I actually danced for 5 minutes live on Facebook, but I didn't play the music. I just danced. And I had my headphones in and I was dancing, and afterwards, my 87-year-old mother, she said, I heard you were dancing for 5 minutes a day and you didn't ask me to do it. Why didn't you?
Oh.
And I said, well, I didn't, you know, I didn't know you wanted to. And she was like, well, I'm not too old. I can still dance. So she pulled out all her Bob Marley CDs and she was apparently doing some moves. So
I will join you on that program because I love dancing. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. I think it wakes your whole body up. It just makes you feel, you know, no matter how bad you feel, it just makes you feel better. And for couples, people who are stuck in their house together, you know, a little slow dance, a little contact, a little love, it gets going. But I have a playlist on iTunes called Dance, 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 and it's just a wide range of dance songs, and I just put it on shuffle, and I say I'm going to do 5 minutes, but then I end up doing, you know, 30 or
30 minutes.
So unusual advice from a PhD in communication. I say dance, dance, dance. That is my advice. Dance. So,
I think I'll join you.
Yes.
Because we need to entertain people in this pandemic era. People are really depressed.
Yes.
Yes, so we need to put hope in people's lives.
The thing about it is that one of the exercises I would start with, that I would suggest to you or anybody, is I tell people who I'm working with, I say, you know, get a sheet of paper and literally draw a circle on the sheet of paper, okay?
Okay.
And inside this circle, you write the things in your life that you have control over, that you have choices over. And then outside of that circle are the things you don't have control over, like the pandemic, the taxes, the weather, you know? So what you have control on goes in the circle. And you get very clear, there are things in my life that I can do that I have choices over. And there are things outside of the circle that are not mine, that I can't do anything about. And I think, you know, to grow your business or to financially survive COVID-19, we all have to look at what's in my circle and what's outside of my circle.
All right.
You know, and this is very important because you see, anytime we spend our time out here and we're not in the circle, we're worrying and we can't do anything about it.
Sure.
Like we got to get clear that there are parts of changing the world that we can affect. And then there's things outside of that circle that are outside of our control. And I think it's important to put your energy inside the circle of your influence where you can change.
Doctor, as we are starting, because people have joined us on Facebook, somebody said, say hi to Doctor. Does that person know you?
Who is that? I don't know who that is. Let me see if I can.
I also don't know. So, Doctor, who is Dr. Nadia? Can you give us a brief introduction about yourself? Just 2 minutes.
Yes, I can give a brief introduction about
Okay.
myself. So the bottom line is, I'm here in Ireland. I'm south of Dublin. I was born in Ireland. I lived in America for a long time. My parents immigrated there when I was a teenager. Um, I studied, went to college for a long time. I actually went to college for 9 years and ended up getting a PhD, a doctorate degree in communication, in how we connect with people, how we connect with ourselves. I studied media a lot and I worked
Mm,
in the media a lot. I worked as a journalist and a broadcaster, and I've also directed documentary films and television episodes. So my life has really been about storytelling and meaningful messages and how to connect. And now I have my own business and I offer workshops and motivational materials, guided meditations, inspirational storytelling. And I also direct documentaries that I hope make the world a better place. So these are the things that I
mm,
do. And I'm also a mother and I have 2 sons. So,
definitely. A
yes.
strong woman and a strong mother. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're really inspiring a lot. Well, doctor,
Uh-huh.
how can we solve financial crisis at this time? Because we've lost a lot of businesses. People
Mm.
are depressed.
Yes.
So how can we
Yes.
recover from this issue?
Yes. Well, number one, I think it's going to take a while for recovery to happen. But I do think that it's important for us to start looking at what we can do. For example, I was working on a project last year that involved fundraising for global health issues. And it's a project I'm very passionate about, and I was working with amazing people. But the truth was that it was very difficult to raise money for faraway places and things that people had a hard time relating to at the moment. So, we had to look at that and say, well, then how can we redirect our efforts? What else can we do? So the key here is to say to yourself, what can I do and what can't I do? For example, there are, believe it or not, there are jobs where people are still employing people during the pandemic. People are getting hired through Zoom interviews, and people are still being employed. So that is, believe it or not, still a possibility. If you want to see where you live. For example, here we have a COVID-19 payment. What is possible for you to get while you're looking? And a lot of people don't realize that there may be money or support that's available to them. For example, in a lot of places, especially in Europe, if you're starting a business, a lot of times there is support available to you. So it's very important that you find out what is possible for you. The other thing, of course, is asking yourself, and this is the tricky one, right? What will people pay me for? In other words, if you're going to make soap, this is a good time to be selling soap because people are washing their hands so much, right? Like this is a good time, right? What are you selling? What are you offering? And how can people pay you? And you have to make it easy on people. So I think the businesses now that are surviving and thriving are the ones who are saying, what can I do within COVID-19? For example, I can't be like I used to do retreats, right? People would come from different parts of the world and we would meet and we would have these amazing retreat experiences. Well, we can't do that right now. That's not going to happen. So what is possible is this, being on Zoom, brushing my hair, putting on some, bright lipstick and saying, you know what, let's just see what we can do here. Like let's have a conversation. So are people willing to pay you to do that? Well, fortunately they are. So what can you do? What is possible for you? And just today, somebody a young woman who took a course with me, she sent me these postcards and she took quotes of things that I said and she got images and she made these postcards and she
Mm,
sent them to me in the post. And this is so clever of her, because now I'm going to hire her to make postcards for me so that I can send these postcards to people, right?
Yeah.
And this was something she just decided to do, right? She said, you know what, I'm going to do this and send it to her. And now I'm going to pay her, you know? So you have to be a little bit,
Creative.
you have to just say, what can I do here? Because you know what? Everybody can do something. Everyone.
Really?
Yes, I do believe that. I believe everybody can do something. And I believe everybody has a skill that maybe, or a talent that maybe they haven't looked at yet.
Okay.
Whatever that is. Because, you know, this is the thing. COVID is making us, forcing us to be resilient.
Mm.
Because we have to be. You know, what choice do we have other than to give up? And giving up is just not a choice.
Okay.
You know, so I do believe that the people who are going to come out of this the best are the ones who will say, I am willing to grow. I am willing to grow. I'm a little uncomfortable, but I'm willing to try. I'm willing to grow. There's a lot of businesses here in Ireland that started putting together snack boxes of Irish made foods, right? And Irish made candles and different things. And they were selling these boxes, and people were ordering these boxes and sending them to people they can't see. So maybe I can't see my mother or my sister, but I'm going to order them this box and have it delivered to them. So there were people who were saying, we can't do what we used to do. So what can we do while we're waiting? You know,
Yeah.
because if you ever wanted to write a book or create new products or do new things, now you have the time, because you can't do anything else. You know,
Yeah.
so I think the focus of the energy on what can I do is empowering, whereas the focus of I've lost so much and I can't do anything, it's going to demotivate you to where you will not function.
Okay. Doctor, it seems you were basing on emotional aspects of life. How can somebody develop that emotional? Because you are very strong and you can overcome this physical aspect of life to emotional aspect of life. What about somebody who is very, very weak in this aspect?
Well,
Because we are here to help our people.
yes. Well, let me just say that one of the hard parts about life is things that you don't want happen. And when I was 19 years old and I was a college student in America, I was coming out of a building one night after working at the radio station there. And when I came out of the building, a man, I didn't know him, had been stalking me. And when I got to my car, the man literally punched me in the face when I was in my car, and tried to get in my car on top of me and tried to rape me. It was a very, very, very traumatic experience. And I was incredibly blessed that I was able to get away and that I was able to survive. And the police arrested the man about 45 minutes later, and he went to jail. Now, that night, I was severely hurt. I was emotionally wounded, and then I had to go through a trial that took a very long time. So my point in telling this story is that I know what it feels like to be devastated. I know what it feels like to be scared, to not want to do anything. I know how hard life can be. And I know how hopeless life can feel. And I say this and I share this because I want to point out that I wasn't always resilient. I wasn't always fearless or strong or any of these things. I was broken. I was like a little tiny bird whose wing was broken, and I thought I would never fly again. So I understand that really difficult things can happen. My dog right now is barking like crazy. I don't know if you can hear her. But I want to say that sometimes in life, the really, really hard, difficult things, they feel like they're going to destroy us. But if we can be compassionate, and if we can just take it moment to moment to moment to moment, we can heal, and we can become who it is that we want to become. I wanted to work in news, right? I wanted to be a news anchor. I wanted to be on television. That's what I thought I wanted to do. And after I was attacked, I didn't want to be seen by anybody. I wouldn't have done this. I didn't want to do anything. And I think that sometimes it's important to honor where we are on a journey. And when life has been really awful and unkind, and where we have suffered, we have to honor that. And I really encourage anybody who's watching this or hearing this, if they have suffered and they have had difficult or abusive situations, I strongly encourage people to seek help, to seek support, to seek services, and to go on an inner journey within themselves to really relearn themselves again. Because the problem with despair and abuse and tragedy and political systems that are oppressive, and racism and sexism and all of those awful things, is that they break you down to where you think you can't, because everywhere you look, you feel like you can't. So the decision, the choice, my life is valuable and my life is worth living. And I am grateful for the people who supported me. I'm grateful for this glass of water that I am fortunate to be able to have, to start with little things, to start with little tiny, tiny steps. Because I think one of the greatest tragedies is that people get the message that they're damaged. People get the message that they don't have something to offer. People get the message that, money and success and happiness, that's for other people. That's for everybody. That's for all of us. It's not some get to be happy and some of us get to be abused and some of us are here to serve others. It's not true. And I think it's very difficult, and I don't want to get too political, but I think it's very difficult to see sometimes, I'm a biracial woman, where do I fit in? Who wants to listen to me? Who wants to hear me? Who's going to give me a job? Who's going to let me be in charge? Okay. Well, me, it's like, it's so hard, you look at things, right? You look at things like Harvey Weinstein, this American filmmaker, who for decades after decades was abusing women, like sexually molesting women, like famous women that you and I were watching on television, watching in movies. Women like, Salma Hayek, who we were watching, all these famous, beautiful, incredible women were being harassed by this man, this disgusting person. And people knew about it, but they weren't doing anything, right? And so what's that message? Well, the message is, what I want is more important than what you want. And that's not true. So I just think that it's very important for us to get clear what we need, what you need, what do you need? And that's what a great coach or facilitator does, is they say, so what is it that you want? And what do you need to be able to do it? And this is as honest as you can get in saying, I want to feel secure. I want to feel like I can feed my family. I want to know that the money is coming in. Those are some basic rights that you have, that you feel supported, And I do think there's a lot of research that shows that COVID-19 has been very hard on women. Like, it's not been hard on it. I mean, it's been hard on everyone.
Yes.
But we are seeing statistically that women have suffered in a lot more ways,
Mm.
which is upsetting, but also not surprising, because
Why?
it's not surprising, because I think that one of the things is that we need more women-owned businesses. We need more
Oh,
women,
okay.
we need more women in leadership roles, right? We still have so few women who are the leaders of organizations or who are elected into office. So, you know, there's room for all of us. And I think this is what inclusivity is about and
Okay.
diversity is about. Like, there's a lot of corporations and organizations talking about diversity and inclusivity, but we need to see people at all levels making
Yeah.
decisions.
Mm.
So I think the number one choice that we have to do is we have to say, you know what? I deserve a good life.
Mm.
I'm a good person. I deserve a good life, and I need to figure out the formula for me to have a good life.
Mm. We deserve a good life. Indeed. That is our mission for this year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice
Yeah.
having you, because you are our first guest for the first program of 2021.
Mhm.
And this is the message you are giving to us. Doctor, we are very pleased. But on a financial aspect now. So, Doctor, do you think COVID is generating people's ideas towards business?
Yes, I do think there are people who are benefiting during COVID-19. I mean, clearly Zoom is one of them. Amazon has obviously benefited during COVID-19. I think there's a lot of people benefiting during COVID-19. And I also think that there's a lot of people falling apart. So
Yeah.
what we can do is we can fall apart a little bit, you know, it's a little falling apart. And then we say to ourselves, okay,
We
now
can
what?
do it.
Now what? Like, because here's the thing, if you look to nature, you see a lot, right? Like planting seeds, okay? You don't plant a seed and go out tomorrow and there's an apple tree. You plant a seed and it takes time, right? So all of us need to be gathering seeds of what we want to sow in the future. In other words, if you tell me, hey, I want to do this conference in October, well, you don't start planning that in September. You start planning that now. So I want to write a book and I want it to be available for sale next December. Well, you better start writing it. So the seeds of business need to be sown. But there are some plants like bamboo that grow overnight. They grow really fast. So if people need cash now, if people need money now, then they have to really look at what and how can I do this? And the other thing is this: who can help you do it?
Yeah.
Because this is the other problem, okay? You don't have to do everything yourself. You can ask people, like you asked me to come on here. I'm the first guest of this year because
Yeah.
you were brave and you said, I don't know this woman, but I'm going to send her a message and say, hey, crazy woman, do you want to be on my Zoom with me? And I was like, yeah, why not? Right? So if we don't ask, we don't know. We don't find out. So having the confidence in yourself to say, this is something I want, like you're brave. You are brave. You've already shown that you're brave. You're doing this. Like lots of people think about doing it, but they're not doing it, you know?
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, now what else can I do? Right? So, what else can I do? So what happens is, we need to realize that we start with something we can do, and then we say, how can I grow? How can I grow? How can I grow? But a lot of us are like, we're waiting for permission. Like we're like, oh, please, please, we're begging. We're like, oh, please, please help me, and that's not it. Like we don't need to beg. We just need to get clear. What is it that I am creating here in my life? What do I want? What do I need? And a lot of this is really about being willing to break away from old patterns. I wrote a little book called 52 Ways to Free My Mojo. And the book, the number one way, the first week, and that course just began this week. So if anyone's interested in that, it's just starting, and it goes, there's a way for each week of the year. And the one this week is cut toxic threads. Now, that sounds simple, but it is not, because a lot of us are stuck in patterns that are toxic, whether that's negative people, whether that's old patterns, whether that's drinking or drugs or whatever the addiction is. But cutting toxic threads is really about what is stopping me from being who I want to be, what is stopping me from being financially secure, what is stopping me from having the confidence to apply for a new job or to start a new business or to start offering new products. And cutting the toxic thread means that when we cut away the clutter that toxicity causes, then we literally make room for the financial. Money is energy, right? Money is energy. So every time I look and I see PayPal says, oh, somebody just spent 149 euros on a course, I feel happy. I'm like, woo, I'm like, woo, lovely. And then I look and I see, oh, my rent payment went out for, 1,000 euros. Now I'm sad. We're affected by the energy of the flow of the money. But finances is just energy. It's just energy flowing. And the problem a lot of us have is that all our energy is flowing out, but it's not flowing back in. Yeah. So if we can start looking at what is my thought around money, like a lot of us have a lot of shit, for want of a better word. We have a lot of issues around money. Like we look at people who have money and we say, oh, look at that person who has money. Why do we judge people who are poor, and why do we judge people who are rich? So part of what I'm saying here is that in order to be financially free, one of the things we're really going to need to do is to look at our relationship to finances and how do we feel about it. Yeah. And myself, I have a good friend who's been advising me, because I'm not very good with certain aspects of how does this happen or how does that happen. So we need to talk to people who know what we need to know. And we can't be expected to have all the answers when we're starting out. We need other people to advise us.
So doctor, what are the policies of money? Because we all need money, especially me. I really love money because I need...
I love that.
I've got a lot of projects to do, so I need money.
Yes,
we need money.
Yes, we do need money. And as much as we don't necessarily like it, money makes things possible. And money allows us to do things, right? So one of the things we have to understand is that if we want people to give us money, then people have to trust us. And they need to trust us because we are trustworthy. And we need to show that we are trustworthy, right? We need to show that we are willing to do the work, okay? And I know as well as you do that with social media, one of the problems is that we are constantly seeing maybe people who are problems, who are challenged, who are maybe presenting themselves some way and they're not. So one of the things that we really need to do is we need to be authentic, and we need to show that we are authentic, that we can be trustworthy, so that people want to invest in us, or who want to work with us or partner with us or hire us. So whatever we can do to show that we are trustworthy people who are decent and hardworking and caring, I think that's very important to do. Yeah. Because, why should someone hire you if they don't feel that way? And I think we need to show who we are in the best possible way, because why should people, there's unfortunately so many negative stories of people who've been ripped off by people, and this, right? So people are nervous. People are afraid to give money. They're afraid to donate. They're even afraid to give money to charities, because they're worried about who you know, who's getting the money and what's happening to the money and all of that stuff. So I do think it's important for us to really look at what's happening and how we're doing things and how we can show we're trustworthy, and how we can build a body of work that shows who we are, you know? Does that help? Is that hard?
No, we are listening to you, doctor. I can see you are responding to a lot of messages.
Well, it's just that we sometimes feel so tired or so worn down that we don't have the energy. You know, in my work, I call it mojo, right? It's like this practical magic, this energy that carries you through, that makes things feel better to you. So one of the things that I really encourage is that you look at, if you're tired, rest. Like you literally say to yourself, I'm going to take this time, I'm going to slow everything down, I'm going to stop running, I'm going to stop being crazy busy, and I'm going to calm down and come down, and I'm going to look at who am I being, how am I being, and what do I need, and I'm going to slow it all down. And it's probably a shock to hear someone say, if you want to be really successful, you need to rest more.
Yeah. I get really confused when I hear people saying that, because I've watched your videos, I've watched other prominent people's videos, and they usually say the same thing.
And you're like,
relax.
Why are they saying this?
I don't know. Relax, don't work more. I said, are these people serious? If I don't work more, how can I get the money?
Right.
I need money.
Yeah.
And a lot of people need money. Yes, I hate poverty.
I actually remember I had a mentor in film, and he is a very, very successful filmmaker. I mean, he has Meryl Streep's phone number in his phone. He's incredibly successful. And I was meeting with him, and he said to me, this was about 5 years ago, I was meeting with him, and he said to me, you're a better filmmaker than you think you are. You need to stop teaching in college, and you need to go out on your own. That's what you need to do. And I was so annoyed at him. I was so annoyed. I thought I am so irritated by that. I have 2 children. I don't have a husband. How am I supposed to feed my children if I don't teach college? What am I supposed to do? This is so easy for him to say. And I just felt so annoyed. And he looked at me and he said, no more teaching jobs. Don't do it. And I was just like, the nerve of him, you know, like this is easy for him to say. He's got all these Academy Awards and Tony Awards, and he's a big deal, and he has all this money, and he lives in New York, and well, I can't do that. And I was actually frustrated, because what he was doing was he was saying to me, if you want something, you have to go after it, and you have to stop doing the safe thing, and you have to go for it. And instead of saying, wow, you're so wise, thank you so much, I just was annoyed, you know. I really did. I just was like, I just was so like ungrateful that he said that to me. And then that's probably how you're feeling. You're probably thinking like, Nadia, what are you talking about? I have to work 12 hours a day. I have to, you know, and I think that's kind of the Cinderella mentality, right? Like, you know, I'm going to be a little slave girl. I'm going to work really hard. I'm going to work myself to the bone, and I'm going to be exhausted because I tried so hard, and it doesn't work. You know, exhaustion feels like depression. Yeah. They're very hard to tell apart. So I really want to say to anyone who's feeling like, I'm so exhausted, I can't function, I'm so exhausted, I don't know what to do, rest. Rest, leave, walk away from it. You know, Albert Einstein used to say he got his best ideas when he was playing the violin. So the thing about it is that when we do something we enjoy, like reading a book or playing music or dancing or whatever, when we do those things, what happens is we get our best ideas. And the energy, again, which is money, the energy, the prosperity, it makes room. And I say this all the time, make room for miracles in your life,
Okay.
make room for miracles. By making room for miracles, that means you're not exhausted, you're not bitter, you're not angry. I mean, who wants to hire a bitter, angry person? Nobody.
No one. Yeah.
You don't want to work with them, do you? No, but nobody does. Oh, come coach me. You seem so miserable. Like it's not how it goes, right?
Yeah.
So I know when I first heard someone say you need to take a day a month where you do nothing and you stay in your pajamas all day, I thought, who's that guy? Like,
Yeah.
I can't.
He's not serious about life.
Yeah. He's not. He doesn't understand my life. He doesn't
Yes.
understand how hard I work.
Yeah.
He doesn't understand I'm a single mother with these small children and I have to, fight for everything. And now I'm like, man, that guy was right, but it's taken me years to say, okay, well, what I'm doing isn't working. So maybe I should try what they're saying, because I was so tired. I was so exhausted. And I think that for you to be financially free, you have to have discipline. And one of those disciplines is if you make £100,000 a year and you spend £110,000 a year, you're still broke.
Yes.
Seriously. So, this is part of it. If you make 20,000 a year and you can live on 18, well, you've got money, So part of what we're looking at is living within our means, whatever those are, which isn't always easy, like literally, I don't know, my food bill at the moment is so high because I'm in this house with three, my two sons and my partner, and those guys, they eat amazing food.
Stop disgracing them, doctor.
So, the food industry is doing well. Who's doing well in COVID? People who are selling us food,
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things that we're all experiencing is this need to be entertained. We're bored. And I thought it was so funny. I don't know if you saw it, but I did a visioning workshop live for free on Facebook.
Was it last week?
Yeah, it was Saturday. And people told me they're watching it twice. They're watching it again and they're doing it again. And I was like, people must be so bored that they're doing this workshop. But I think it's an opportunity. I think COVID is hard, but financial growth and financial innovation is possible. And then the other thing is to just congratulate yourself that you're getting through, right? Like really, like your electricity hasn't been shut off. You have clothes to wear, you have food to eat, you have friends, just really being grateful is a great way to become rich, because we become rich in a lot of ways, and money is one of the ways.
Okay.
But if we don't appreciate the money we do have, then it won't grow the way that it could. Okay. And when anybody comes to me and signs up for a class or buys something from me or whatever it is, I'm always so grateful to them, because I genuinely am grateful. I think you might like this. A few years ago, I decided I want to be a millionaire. And I want to be a millionaire, meaning I want to help 1 million people.
Okay.
I want to be a millionaire because I've helped 1 million people. Now, if I should get £1 from each one of them, that would be really great, because then I would be a millionaire. But the truth of the matter was, I was about the numbers. I was like, I want to reach as many people as possible. So if I do a workshop and 1,000 people watch that workshop, I feel like I've gotten closer to my goal.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
One of the most important things someone once asked me was, how do you measure success? So
that was a question I was going to ask you.
yeah,
Yeah, because I watched a video of yours and also Les Brown. You know, he's among the famous motivational speakers, and he says something about it. So I was asking myself, is this man serious? So when I watched your video, I've forgotten the date. I said, are these people on the same line or what? So I thought that definitely, since I've got you today, I will ask you that question. So it's good you've brought up that idea.
Yeah, I think it's important to determine how are you going to measure success. In other words, is cash money, is money your only goal? Like, for example, there are young people living in very poor areas who at a very early age start running drugs, right? At a very early age. We have it here in Ireland. I know you have it in the UK. It's all over the world. You'll find young children who grow up whose parents aren't paying attention, and gangs will find these children and they'll lure these children with money and food and clothes and shoes, apparently, right? Cool sneakers that are very expensive. And these children are literally brought in to these gangs with money. And these children are used as tools by these gangs, right? So these children at a very early age get used to cash and money. And then they literally, on average, will not live past about 26, right?
Yeah.
So if money and cash is the only factor to determine success, then those children's lives were successful. But they're dead by the time they're 26. So is cash money going to be the only way you determine if you are successful or not? Do you see? It's very tricky because I think that I think that there's a very small group in the world who have almost all the money.
And what are these?
There's a very little group, right? There's a tiny group, and they have so much money, right?
Yeah.
And then the other 99% of the world are like fighting, struggling, right? And we have these people, and you know, you and I know this. We have these people living in parts of the world who are so poor. They have no sanitation. They have no water. You know, they have no quality of life, but they're not necessarily unhappy. So there is something going on with what is success, because you have people like Kate Spade and Anthony Bourdain, who are massively wealthy people, who were so rich in cash and in fame and in luxury, and yet they killed themselves. So let's get clear as we set up our businesses or as we go for jobs, what will my success measure be? And this is very important. And I think we need to talk more about this.
Yes.
Because if your children hate your guts because you're so awful to them, because you're so tired and frustrated and mean, then were you successful? I wouldn't consider that to be success. You know, if I'm so exhausted, I'm thinking about killing myself because I'm so miserable, well, then I don't think that's success either. So if I cannot enjoy my life, and if I can't look at myself in the mirror and I can't look at myself and say, you know what, you're a good person, you're doing your best, then I don't think I've been successful. So if the goal is to earn enough to be able to help other people, then that's fantastic. That's great. You know, sometimes I have someone who comes to me and says, hey, I read about your course online and I would love to take it, but I don't have the money today, but I'll have the money in a few weeks, or I'll have the money in a month, or whatever they say. And I say, yeah, okay, pay something now, pay something then. That's fine with me, you know? And I'm always so grateful that people ask me, because the idea that someone would not take a course to better themselves because they don't have the money, that really upsets me. I don't want that, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not Amazon. You know what I'm saying? I'm not Microsoft. I'm not,
AliExpress.
I'm not Apple. Like, you can't go into Apple and be like, hey, I have €100 and I'd like to buy an iPad. Can I have one? They'd be like, no, get out. You can. It's the price. So, I mean, at some point in business, we have to determine what our success markers are going to be and how we're going to determine whether we have been successful or not. And for a lot of us, it's things like the environment. It's things like, there's a lot of things. Like, we don't want to be doing a job that's hurting the environment. We don't want to be doing a job that hurts other people. We want to be doing something that makes the world better. Some of us want to travel, which right now you can't. But, we all have different markers. So I would say this: every person needs to think about 3 to 5 things that matter to them, that are values that they have. Okay? And then those markers are their values, and that is how success is measured. So if I can pay my bills, if my family are happy and healthy, and if I can be creative and produce new work, success. Tick the box. Tick, tick, tick. You need to decide for yourself, what are the factors of my success? How am I going to measure success? And if it's, I want as much cash as possible, no matter what, no matter who I have to step over, then that's your goal. That's your vision. That's who you are. And you know what? There are plenty of people like that. So there's nothing wrong with that. That's just a very limited view of success. So I would say to anybody watching this, you think about 3 to 5 measures. And one of them for me is health. If I'm not taking care of my health and I'm running myself into the ground, then that's not success to me. Because I think if COVID-19 has taught us anything, it's if you don't have health, you don't have anything. Does that help?
Yeah.
A good answer?
Yeah, really, yeah. Because without health, you can't go out to work. Without health, you can't think. I remember some months ago, I challenged myself on that, and Nadia, seriously, I nearly died. I nearly died because I was so crazy for work and also assignment. Right after work, I said, no, I will not sleep, I will not eat, I'm going to learn. And seriously, God saved me. So I told myself that indeed health is very important.
Yes, it has to be. And the other thing is, whatever we can do to help other people be healthy, because to me, health is something that is a human right. Everybody should have a right to being well. It shouldn't be that, health is only for some people and not for everybody. Because people should not have to work themselves into the ground to provide for their families. And people should not have to, be in a state of collapse to provide. There's something wrong there, That's not life. That's not living. That's surviving. And living and surviving are not the same thing. But like you said, you learned the hard way. You learn sometimes, right? Because you push yourself too far and you hit a wall. And how many times have you met someone and they've said, oh, I got cancer, or I got this, or I got this disease, or I got an autoimmune disease, or I got something, and then I woke up. A lot of times people push themselves so far and they run themselves into the ground. And that's when they say, you know what, now I need to live differently. So I think that's part of it.
All right. Doctor, throughout your analysis and word to us, can I clearly say that you are telling us that we need to focus on personal business than corporate business? Corporate business is working for a company. Are you telling the public that it's time for everybody to start his or her own business?
No, I think that corporations have a role, and I think that corporations have a purpose. And I think that a lot of corporations provide a lot of important work in the world. And the beauty of working for a lot of corporations is if your goal aligns with them and your values align with them, then you have the security of your work. I think that's great. I think if you can find a corporation that treats you well and that you can feel good about, then you should do that. I have no objection whatsoever to corporate work. I think there are wonderful corporations to work for. And you can even, look and see that they have ratings about corporations and say, this is a great company to work for. This is a great company to work for. I think you need to do the research. I have worked for some wonderful people in my life, and I have had great leaders and great managers. And I think it's important for you to make sure that if you're going to work for someone or somewhere, that your values align with them so that you can connect with them. But I think for a lot of people, whether it's a side hustle that you do it on the side or whether you're capable of living that way, working for yourself is hard, and it can be very difficult. So I do think that everybody is capable of it, but I don't know that for some people it's really where they need to be. So everybody, I think, needs to look at their life and say, is there a job that I could really do well in, that could give me what I need for my family, or would I be better doing my own thing? But I wouldn't say it's always that straightforward where it's like no one should do that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like I would not say that. I would say that you need to do your research and you need to look into somewhere and you need to say, does this place align with me and my values?
Okay. All right. Doctor, our next concern is about comparison. We are comparing foreign country to African country. I was raised in Africa, so I know a bit about African issues. We work a lot. The majority of Africans who work a lot, but African is considered among the poor country. What is the secret behind these two countries? I mean, foreign country and African country. I know there are a lot of poor people in foreign country, but it's not much as compared to Africa. We work a lot. Recently, one of my friends stated on his Facebook page that if it's about hard work that pays success or financial prosperity, then African countries will be the best country to consider. I was pissed off,
Yeah.
but I told myself that no, this person has given a wise code.
Yeah.
Because we were, especially women in African countries, they work a lot. Farming, trading, but nothing good. So what is the solution to this?
I'll tell you what, I wish I had the answer to this question because it would be fabulous to have one answer and then that would be what we would do and it would all be fixed. I think that if you were to look at the history of the world so far, from any perspective, Africa as a nation, as a continent, has had the worst deal. There isn't any doubt, okay? There isn't any doubt in my mind that the way other countries have treated Africa over time was completely immoral, okay? The idea that other countries came to Africa, took people and resources and just walked off with them and said, okay, now we own this place. Like, it's amazing. And it's kind of crazy because Ireland is a tiny little country next to next to England. And the English did the same thing in that they came over to Ireland and they said, okay, you're all English now. The Irish people were like, what happened? So we had 750 years of British oppression, and I don't want to get political on this one, but I just want to say the idea that certain countries were able to just arrive and be like, we own it now. We're going to take all your people. We're going to take what we want and do this is just something we have not been able to set right. Okay. Now, I feel that it is such an important question that you have asked us, asked me, and asked the audience. What would it take to make things fair for African women compared to other people in the world? It is a question we need to ask, and we need to look at, and we need to keep asking it until we get an answer. Okay? The idea that women are discriminated against has been proven. The idea that the tone and color of people's skin is so important, you know, is so outrageous that here in 2020, right, we're seeing this. This is not made up. This is real. Okay. Now, my father his skin color was your skin color. My mother was white with green eyes and blonde hair. So I have these two parts of me. You know, my mother was blonde and green eyed, don't look like her. My father was your color, I don't look like him either. So I came out in the middle, you know, I've got these freckles and stuff. So for me, race is something that is a mystery, because I know that especially when I lived in America, I have seen racism. I have seen it up close and personal, because people thought that I was white and they thought they could say things. So we have a lot of undoing in the world. We have a lot of undoing. We have a lot to make right. We have a lot that we need to do. But I will say this, that my research in communications and my research has indicated that there are 3 things that help women do better. Okay? 1 is to increase their skills and to enhance their skills. Okay? 2, to provide them with mentors. And 3, to create a professional network for them. Those 3 things, giving them increased skills, creating a network for them, and offering them mentorship. Those are the 3 things that will help women in the workplace do better. Okay, so one of the things that your organization that you're looking at can look at is, how do we do this? Because here's the problem. If you take a woman and you put her in a system that's broken, she still has to operate in that broken system. Does this make sense?
Definitely.
So one of the things that we have to do is we have to see that our world is not about us versus them. There's no them, there's just us. There's just all of us. So if a woman in Africa today is struggling to feed her child, that's no different than me struggling to feed my child. This is where we have to get to. Our compassion for one another has to get to where we don't want any child not to have clean water. Children dying because they don't have clean water is disgusting to me. I do not and cannot and will not accept that that's okay, ever. You know, so when I was working for the Mission to End Leprosy, I saw how much inequity there is in the world, and I was really stunned. I really saw things that were happening in 2020 for girls and women, and I was completely just disgusted with how things are. So I think my answer to your question is this: we need to ask this question, and we need to keep asking this question, and we need to continue through technology, right, as best we can, to bring awareness to this question. You know, I started working on a research project because I hope that it becomes a documentary, but I called it The Hazards of Being a Woman. And one of the things that I want to look at is when you're born, you know, if you're born white in Paris or you're born black in Africa, did you have a say about that? This is your life. This is what you got. The idea that you're born into a system that's broken and has been broken for a long time by other people who then walked off, it's not good enough. So I feel very strongly that education is very important. I think that girls in developing nations don't get the education they need. They don't get the resources that they need. So whatever we can do to increase those resources, to give more support, to help, then that's what we need to look at. And I think that's very, very important. Something as tragically unfortunate as poverty period of period poverty, where when a girl starts to get to a certain age, she's taken out of school because she can't go to school anymore. That's so wrong. So there's a lot of things like that that are cultural, that we need to say, okay, we're not looking to come in and disrupt the culture, because we need to respect the culture, right? So we need to empower the women within the culture, and the men and the families, that they have what they need, and it has to be what they want versus what we think they should want. You know, that I think is very important. I think that we need to empower the people within these communities, and it has to be communities, to give them what they need. And I know that's part of your vision, and that's why when you asked me if I would talk with you, I was like, yeah, let's talk. You know.
Yeah. Doctor, I think we have to find time and
Yes.
find more people to talk on this issue.
Yes.
Because as you always tell me privately that, Ben, we have to help our world.
Yeah.
And I'm ever ready to do that.
You are, and
So,
I love what you're doing, and I want to congratulate you.
thank you, Doctor.
I mean, here you are, you know, during a difficult time, asking hard questions, and you know what? People need to answer those questions. They need to not act like they don't know what's happening, because I think that's the most disrespectful thing, is to be like, oh, I'm suffering in my little house where I have everything. Come on, you know, please, like, that's not.
Please. Doctor, it says about age, because sometimes you see a very young person, actually millionaire. You see an old person or aged person of the same rank. Sometimes you see somebody raised from a very rich family, but unfortunately, that person ends in poverty. What is the trick about financial success?
Well, I think what's hard, and this is really hard, is that a lot of rich people inherited their money. Okay. So if I'm 21 and my father and mother are really wealthy, and my father and mother said, oh, we want to send her to college, you know, so I'm coming out of college and mom and dad are giving me a car, you know, oh, here she goes, our daughter, let's give her a new car, you know, and they're giving me a wardrobe and they're giving me all these resources. Well, then it's easier for me, right? And say within the family, you know, if you're born into money, it's easier to have money.
Yeah.
If you're born into poverty, man, you got to do some stuff to get out of it. It's unfortunate, you know. So I do believe in the power of education. I do think that education is a game changer. I do think it changes things, but I also think that there are people who didn't go to college and who didn't go to high school who come up with a great idea. So we always see there are people who break the mold, but for most people, you are born into a certain class, and you unless you do something to mix that formula, you're going to have a hard time getting out of it, because class in itself is like it's like a really tricky glue, you know, like you get stuck in it, and it's really hard to get out of it. My father was somebody who came from Trinidad and Tobago to England when he was 14, so like in the 1930s or 40s, and he worked his way up from being an errand boy to an apprentice to being a master jeweler, and he ended up making a lot of money, but he did it through trade, right?
Okay.
So trade can be a way. In other words, if someone is willing to be an apprentice and learn a trade, then that is another way sometimes for people to break out of poverty and to move into a different earning capacity. But a lot of times when you see people who have money who are very young, it's because
Yeah.
it was given to them.
All right. So
You know,
they never struggle for it.
well, they might think they did, but compared to what a lot of people are going through, it's hard for people to give children what they don't have. So if you don't have any money and you don't have anything to share, what can you give your child? But struggles, because that's all you've known. So you can't give what you don't have. But if a family has wealth and has property, you'll see that most of the rich people in the world, they
Yeah.
inherited their wealth. They
Okay.
came from wealthy families. And this
Okay.
goes back to what I said, where a very small portion of the world's
Yes,
population is controlling most of the wealth.
definitely.
Um, so people who weren't born into money have to literally say to themselves, what can I do to help myself? Learning a trade, getting educated, coming up with an idea that is better than other people's ideas,
Mm.
or just literally putting your head down and working hard. These are the choices.
Okay. Yeah. Doctor, you've been mentioning education throughout your conversation with us. What kind of education are you focusing on? Because we have a lot of educated people, business educated people. They went to school to study business, but yet they are poor. So what kind of education are you telling us?
Well, for one thing, I would say I hope to be a lifelong learner. In other words, I'm always reading a book, I'm always watching a documentary, I'm always listening to a TED talk. When I talk about education, I'm talking about education in terms of maybe you get to go to a good school or a college or university. That's great. You know what? You can teach yourself almost anything
Okay.
on YouTube. You can learn. I learned how to fix a washing machine. You can learn how to do
Oh,
anything. I mean, you literally can teach yourself. Now, so how you get educated is really, there's so many ways, but you have to open your mind.
okay.
I've seen people get college degrees and not make a difference because they did the exact same thing they've always done. you know like you if you get a degree, you have to apply, you have to put yourself out there, you have to try for new things. But if you get educated and you're going to do things exactly the same way, then it wasn't much use to you. So when I say education, I mean you learn something and you learn it so you can embody it, you can do
Okay.
it. It's part of you. So whether that's reading a book, whether that's watching a video, whether that's taking an online course, whether that's paying a university, I mean there's so much free education available in the world for in so many ways.
Doctor, another question. Why are present people struggling with success despite we are in a modern world? What
What do
is,
you mean?
I mean, the present youth, the present people now, like my generational people, why are we struggling with success? Does it mean that we are not serious and we are not open-minded people to success? Do you
uh,
get my question, please?
yeah, I think so. I
Because
think
we are rushing for success. We talk about success, we talk about money. I need money to do this, I need money to do that. But yet we are struggling
yeah.
more than your generations. So what is the difference?
Well, I
What do
think that one of the things that's different is that the nature of work has changed. Your generation is facing what they call the gig economy. Your generation, is facing companies and corporations and organizations who don't necessarily want to provide for people. You have people working and they have no medical insurance. You have people working and they get fired tomorrow. You have people working and their hours are terrible and the rates are low. So I think that the nature of work and the world of work is different than it used to be. There was a time where people got a job and they stayed in that job for 35, 40 years and the company treated them well and they stayed there. And that was what work meant, you know? It's very unusual now. They say that, at this stage, somebody of my age would have changed careers 12 times, right? So every time you change careers, every time you change jobs, you actually lose a little bit of progress. Do you know what I'm saying? So if you have people who are changing jobs all the time, if the world of work has changed, I think all of those things cause a certain amount of uncertainty and cause a certain amount of loss, you know? So I think the struggle over money is real. And I think it's something some people experience all their life, you know? But I do think that you have to keep trying as best you can, to keep going, because it has to, as you get more skills, as you get more experience, as you have more to offer, then you need to try for things that will support you better so that your circumstances are better. In other words, don't just suffer, and don't just tolerate being treated badly, you know?
Yeah. So, doctor, with this solution to our problem, does it mean that we need to focus on having 2 or more businesses at this time?
Well, it depends what you're capable of. You know, you're better off having one thing that you do well than a number of things that you're not able to do well. I think that if you want to have your own business, a good way to do it is to have a job, either part-time or full-time as well, because I think that it's a lot of stress to just have a job, a part-time business, a business in the beginning. And most businesses fail in the first 3 years. So getting through that first 3 years, you've got to make sure that as you're getting started, you have enough money to get you through.
Okay.
Whether that's your savings, whether that's, you have roommates, whether that's you have a part-time job, whether that's you have government job seekers allowance, whatever it is. But you need to have a way to get through that beginning part so that you can get to where you need to be. Because that's when most things are going to not work, you know?
Okay. All right. Doctor, as we are ending our program at this time, our last question to you. Explain this statement to us, because you said it in one of your videos, and Jim Ron also said this in his video. Work more on your personal life than your work. What are you trying to tell us?
Okay. If your personal life is a disaster, if your personal life is unhappy, if your personal life is unhealthy, it's going to flow over into your professional life. Okay? So you need to realize that you are one person. You're not a robot. You're not a machine. You're a person. So if your personal life is happy, and if your personal life is safe and is supportive and loving, then your ability to succeed in your professional life will be greater.
Okay.
You cannot expect excellence and hard work and perseverance if your personal life is horrible. It's too much to expect from yourself. So it's important that you find a way every day that you somehow enjoy your personal life, and that your personal relationships are healthy and supportive and compassionate, or it's too much pressure.
All right. Doctor, in summary, what is your advice to the youth watching us?
I would say get clear about what you believe in, get clear about what you care about, get clear about what your values are, and don't let people treat you badly. You know, just there were times in my life when I was younger where I didn't always know how to express myself, or how to ask for what I thought I deserved. And I think I suffered because of that, you know, in tolerating things that were not good for me. So I would say value yourself. You are important. What you want is important. You deserve what you desire. And take really good care of your well-being, your mental health, your physical health, your emotional health. Figure out what you believe in. Figure out what, what God you serve and how you want to do that. And then be really be faithful in your belief that you can make a difference. Be faithful in your belief that you are important and that what you have to say matters and that you deserve happiness.
All right. We deserve happiness indeed. And that is what we are going to fight for. Since we have you as our first guest for the year 2021, yeah, we will have a more progress in our lives through your motivational videos. Doctor, thank you so much for your time.
My
We are
pleasure.
pleased having you, and we hope to have you more.
Thank you.
Telling the
It's
world.
been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So our regards to our family. Take care.
Thank
and
you.
have you next time.
Thank you
Bye.
so much. Bye-bye.
I did. Hi, Jawan. This is the end of our program. Any discussion, just channel it below and Dr. will respond to you because we are sharing the same link. Thank you so much for your time. It's your host, Official Bene. This program aims to protect and prevent the world against present and future pandemic crisis. Pandemic crisis like health, food, business, everything. I mean, environmental issues. That is our focus for this program. You can reach me on +447 585 294910. We need people. We need great people to come on board to help us solve issues in the world. Thank you. Take care. Believe in yourself.